Not to burst your bubble, but the Earth is not the center of the universe. At least not anymore.
My name's Bob Lazar. I'm known for working at a classified base known as S4 out in the Nevada desert. There, we reverse engineered alien spacecraft.
I always believed aliens and UFOs were not real, but it turns out UFOs were flying around everywhere. And guess who spilled the beans? None other than the famous Bob Lazar.
There's really no way I could prove it without revealing my identity and getting myself into more trouble than I have already. Well, there's several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin, and they're being test flown.
Let me tell you, the stuff he revealed is mind-blowing. Element 115, UFOs, secret projects in Area 51, it's some wild stuff. Put on your tinfoil hats and join me as we explore the shady world of conspiracy theories where you cannot trust anyone.
Is the government watching you, Bob?
I didn't think they were after 30 years, but due to recent events, I would probably change.
Robert Scott Lazar, widely known as Bob Lazar, is a phenomenon, an icon, and most importantly, a treasure trove of conspiracy theories. But if you are wondering why he is considered such a reliable source of information, let me tell you there are some very good reasons. Bob Lazar is not just a random guy on the internet. He has the experience and background to back up his claims. The guy has lived a more eventful life than someone like me could imagine. In the late 1980s, Bob Lazar took the world by surprise as he made claims that no one could ever think about. He stated that he had been part of a covert government project at a facility situated near the notorious Area 51 in Nevada. According to Lazar, it was here that he was assigned to reverse engineer otherworldly technologies. By whom?
This week we've heard the contention of UFO researchers that there's a secret government within our government.
The government, of course. I knew those politicians were not to be trusted. To deepen his narrative, not only did he talk about the different kinds of UFOs, but also described the strict compartmentalization system the government uses.
I was involved mainly in propulsion and the power source. You have to understand the information is very compartmentalized. I was only allowed information that pertained particularly to what I was involved in.
In this setting, teams were segregated, each with knowledge limited to their specific tasks. This way, the ones in power could prevent anyone from comprehending the full scope of operations. This operational style, as described by Lazar, was crafted for maximum secrecy. Now there is a reason why Lazar became the face of the UFO conspiracy movement. Lazar's accounts brought a level of detail and structure rarely seen in UFO narratives. During several interviews, he shared information that only made his claims stronger. As per the reports, Lazar shared a whole timeline that backed his claims. Not only that, but he also provided precise locations as well as deep, technical information. None of his claims are so far out that they cannot be real. I mean, at this point, it's hard not to believe the guy. While he made the claims, he triggered controversy as well. Many now believed that the government had been hiding a lot of stuff from them, and these secrets needed to be revealed. Lazar re-energized the UFO conversation, introducing new terms and vigor. He single-handedly gave rise to topics like Area 51 and Element 115. Can you believe this?
Used to work at Area 51.
Well, we want to be accurate.
Okay.
Area S4, 15 miles south of Area 51.
Okay.
Before that, I had worked at Los Alamos
Right.
National Labs in New Mexico.
Before Lazar, Area 51 was obscure, just another military site that the public had little idea existed. But later, after his claims, things changed. And now, this site has been used in movies, shows, novels, and even video games. The UFO discussion was forever changed, thanks to his accounts. Before, they were just vague stories and indistinct photos. With Lazar's detailed descriptions, UFOs became much more realistic. What many people forget, though, are the 2 other things Lazar revealed. These 2 things are kept much more secretively, with only die-hard conspiracy theorists knowing about them. Want to know what they are? Fine, I'll tell you. But beware, this knowledge could change your outlook on the world completely. The first revelation from Lazar was the S4 site. The S4 facility is the embodiment of mystery and controversy. According to Lazar, this concealed facility, situated right next to the infamous Area 51, was a center for ultra-secretive projects involving alien technologies. It is a government-controlled site where maintaining secrecy and scientific discovery go hand in hand. Here comes the most shocking part. According to Lazar, the S4 housed 9 unique flying saucers, each with its own design and purpose. Now, I am not talking about exhibits. These are fully functional ships, hidden in hangars built into the mountainside. Lazar further revealed that those in charge at S4 were intent on not just studying these crafts, but also testing and utilizing them. What I wouldn't give for a chance to drive one of those UFO ships. Now, you may think Lazar revealed all that and was done. No, he actually had one more groundbreaking piece of information to share. Element 115. According to Lazar, Element 115 is one of the government's most well-kept secrets. That is because of what this element is used for. This previously unknown element is used in the propulsion systems of alien vessels. You know, the same ones that the government has got stashed away in the S4 facility. Lazar even tells us how this element works. Let me tell you, it is every bit as futuristic as you can imagine. He stated that this unique element could actually create a gravitational field, and that this was the same thing that alien crafts used for movement. Ever wondered how those UFOs could move so rapidly, rising up and then plummeting so quickly? This element is why. I mean, it makes so much sense. Those wild maneuvers become a possibility only if the UFOs can somehow manipulate gravity. Not just that, he also stated that element 115 didn't actually exist on Earth. For it to exist here, someone had to bring it from outer space in small amounts. But how did it even reach the Earth? Maybe by aliens? Who knows? Here is how Lazar described it all worked. The element 115 generated a gravity wave in the alien craft's reactor. After that, the wave was amplified, which would then help the craft fly and move at an incredibly high speed. And the government kept this tech hidden from us for so long.
The propulsion system is a gravity propulsion system. The power source is an antimatter reactor.
Now, obviously, not everyone believed what Lazar had to say. Even though all this information has a lot of potential to be true, some viewed Lazar's story as a fabrication. They called it a narrative spun from partial truths and imagination. In a way, I understand why people don't believe Lazar's story. If Lazar's claims are true, they would be groundbreaking, suggesting that the US government, or a hidden group within it, possessed alien technologies far beyond our current understanding. It would reveal that we aren't alone in the universe. On top of that, our government has actual artifacts from other worlds that they keep secret from the public. With every revelation, especially one as bold as Lazar's, comes scrutiny. The bolder the claim, the more rigorous the examination it attracts. Lazar's statements about S4, alien spacecraft, and element 115 got the same reaction from the critics. Over time, various criticisms and counterclaims emerged, challenging the authenticity of Lazar's story. One major controversy focused on Lazar's personal background. After all, his educational background had to somehow align with his claims. But the problem was, his background showed more inconsistencies than anything else. According to Lazar, he had studied at the California Institute of Technology and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology as well. But the institutions tell a different tale, as they didn't have any record of him attending classes there. But even after this, many stood with him. After all, it was the government that he was challenging. I mean, it's not too difficult for them to remove your educational records, right? But erasing data doesn't guarantee the removal of his classmates' memories. Someone must remember him, and since no one came forward claiming to be his teacher or classmate, things got a little messy. And they do have a point there if the government's influence is limited. But if the people in power have as much influence as Lazar describes, such a feat to silence the whistleblower would be a walk in the park.
People were really messing with him, breaking into his house, leaving the windows open, just messing with his head.
And you think that was the government that was doing that?
Yeah, I do.
Not only was his education questioned, but the existence of S4 was also a big question mark. Unlike some other claims, there is no concrete evidence supporting S4's existence. Lazar himself wasn't able to prove his point, as satellite images of the area he said was the location of S4 didn't show anything noteworthy. Critics believe that if he had worked in such a place, he would have known better. But since there's no proof, one can't really say that Lazar was telling the truth about S4. But then again, there's another thing that made his claims a bit more unbelievable.
Although most scientists still don't know much about this unique radioactive component, it shares commonalities with plutonium.
This was said to be an element described by a gentleman named Bob Lazar.
The government is holding 9 alien spacecraft that are propelled by a modified gravity generator.
Lazar said the element manipulates gravity, but that contradicts established physical laws. He also claimed that this element had to be brought onto the Earth from the outside. Turns out, the scientists have actually created element 115. It has been named moscovium, and it was synthesized and examined in 2003. The only problem? Its properties did not match Lazar's descriptions. Moscovium is highly unstable. It also has a very brief half-life, so it cannot be utilized as a powerful energy source for propulsion. Also, the way he explained everything didn't show his expertise in the field. Many concepts were vague and didn't dive deeper into the details. The story did not end there. Just like an argument in the YouTube comments, there came criticism for this criticism. Lazar's supporters speculated that the natural, stable isotope of element 115 that he mentioned was yet to be discovered. After all, the understanding of isotopes is still an evolving factor in the world of science, and advancements are possible even if this means that the isotope in question is of an element that doesn't even naturally exist on Earth. His narrative is no doubt intriguing, but it also has some inconsistencies that need to be addressed.
I focused on Los Alamos. I knew he had been there. I talked to people who remembered him from being there, but the lab kept telling me no record of him.
The ongoing debate between Lazar's critics and supporters highlights our innate desire for answers. The drive to unearth the truth and the extent we go to either confirm or disprove a story that shakes our perception of reality. While some believe in everything he says, many critics have given clear pointers to why he shouldn't be believed. They kind of have the upper ground here because Lazar was unable to prove the existence of S4. Plus, there were inconsistencies in his studies about element 115. In today's world, when everything requires evidence, it's no wonder that Lazar's claims, especially about element 115, have invited not only more research, but sometimes controversy as well. Lazar's depiction of element 115 as the key to extraterrestrial spacecraft propulsion, capable of generating a gravitational field and warping space-time for interstellar travel, has been a particular focus for scientific examination. You see, several issues emerged when the scientific community decided to test his claims, particularly regarding the element he always talked about. At the time, when Lazar had just made the revelation, this element didn't even have a proper name. It wasn't until 2003 that it was officially named moscovium. Reports suggest that the properties of moscovium contrasted heavily with what Bob Lazar had described and explained. As I said earlier, it has quite the instability, with a half-life of just milliseconds. Yes, you heard it right. Moscovium would start decaying rapidly into other elements in a matter of milliseconds. What this instability meant was that it couldn't be used as an energy source. So, how was it ever going to power a whole interstellar spacecraft? Not just that, his claims that the element had the ability to manipulate gravity were also caught in criticism as physicists continued to refute the idea of anything being able to go against gravity. And here, all I can think of is the levitating hoverboard from Back to the Future. It's quite cool to think of this element in real life, but there's no way that something could manipulate one of the four fundamental forces of nature can exist. Or is there? The thing is, even the understanding of gravity is pretty limited, so who really knows if an element like that can exist? Still, claims that a substance like element 115 could control or generate gravitational fields challenge established scientific knowledge, so at least the smartest of our society are not convinced. Now, you may think that is a lot of criticism, but guess what? It doesn't stop here. There is more.
Traveled around, went to Los Alamos. Lazar took us into the lab. We took cameras in there. He walked us around, waving to people, didn't even have to stop for security.
It's important to note that science relies on collaboration, debate, and peer review. And the lack of peer-reviewed publications was another reason why scientists rejected Lazar's claims. While many still believe in his observations, not following the protocols only put his claims on the wrong side. It all raised doubts about the authenticity of his knowledge and, most importantly, his statements. Let's agree to this. Lazar's narrative is captivating. It does intrigue that space-loving child that exists inside each of us. The internet is full of Bob's videos where he shares what he saw.
The propulsion system is a gravity propulsion system. The power source is an antimatter reactor. This technology does not exist at all.
As you can see, he sounds very serious about what he saw and studied. Here, he talks about what he learned about the reactor.
Gravity amplifiers output goes into the gravity emitters at the bottom. The resulting gravity beam or anti-gravity wave can be pretty much put anywhere you want to.
Apparently, this is the device that powers the gravity amplifiers. According to him, these amplifiers are essential because they channel their output into gravity emitters located at the base. This process creates a gravity beam or an anti-gravity wave, which can be directed wherever needed. Now, that is something straight out of a Hollywood sci-fi movie. He explains that the black things you see on the machine are not holes, but rather a type of planar sensor array, gathering data from the environment, such as star patterns or other spatial information. The more videos he posts or explanations he provides, the more people hope for its validity.
Jeremy and I had a private conversation out in a remote area of my property. He left the following morning, and simultaneously there was an FBI raid.
At first, the government didn't say anything about Lazar's stories, thinking he must be just another conspiracy theorist. After all, the concept of aliens isn't new. When people asked if Lazar really worked at Area 51 or the mysterious S4, there was no proof. Even big schools like MIT and Caltech said they didn't know him. Now that was surprising. To make things more interesting, people started saying that the government was involved in erasing his records. Of course, there were questions from the government as well. The US Air Force, which runs Area 51, usually keeps quiet about what they do there. They said they couldn't talk about specific projects, which made people wonder even more. Believe it or not, kids have been making plans on Facebook groups to storm Area 51 for a while. They even gave it a try, but it went nowhere. The threat of soldiers shooting trespassers on sight really put a damper on the plan. In 2013, the CIA finally said that Area 51 was real as part of a report about spy planes. The report didn't say anything about UFOs or aliens, unfortunately, just some plane testing and stuff.
A lot has changed in the decades since Bob Lazar first told this wild story. The Pentagon recently admitted that it really has been secretly studying UFOs.
With so many different claims going around, it's hard to know what's true about Lazar's claims. Choosing to come forward with claims that challenge established narratives, particularly those involving national security, often carries significant personal consequences. Just ask Snowden if you don't believe me. Bob Lazar's decision to publicize his experiences at Area 51 and the ensuing impact on his life illustrates the challenges faced by whistleblowers in a world rife with skepticism, intrigue, and potential danger. Following his public disclosure, Lazar was suddenly under intense scrutiny. Every part of his life, From his academic and professional background to his personal relationships and financial situation, was examined. This whole thing extended beyond public curiosity, because he even claimed to have received threats and said there were attempts to erase all official records of his existence. He described being followed, monitored, and intimidated, though these claims were difficult to independently verify. This painted a picture of a man constantly on edge, cautious of unseen dangers. He became nothing less than a Hollywood celebrity. All that attention and monitoring took a toll on his life. Lazar's personal relationships also suffered under the strain of his role in one of the most contentious UFO stories of the time. Trust became a valuable commodity, and isolation became a recurring theme in his life. This further fueled the controversy theories. Is he being forced into this life of humiliation? The people who don't want the truth out, could they be after his life? The story of Bob Lazar is intertwined with tales of covert government operations and extraterrestrial technology. It exemplifies the delicate balance between seeking the truth and risking one's reputation by challenging long-held beliefs and national secrets. Despite these challenges, Lazar demonstrated exceptional adaptability and resilience. He ventured into the scientific supply business, capitalizing on his newfound fame and public interest. However, his allegations about Area 51 continued to cast a shadow over his professional career. His story, while leading to paid interviews, film deals, and speaking engagements, also resulted in legal issues, business challenges, and the burden of protecting his privacy and security. A true testament to the cost of fame. Lazar's financial situation following disclosure was a roller coaster of ups and downs. Maintaining a controversial narrative is a difficult task that can put anyone's resolve to the test. Following his initial flurry of interviews, documentaries, and public appearances, Lazar took a step back from the spotlight. He never retracted his statements, but he seemed less eager to promote them publicly. Is it his own choice to go low-key, or is he being forced to stay quiet? We'd never know. Choosing a more secluded lifestyle, perhaps he distanced himself from the intense scrutiny of both supporters and critics.
We had to black out his face. We do this interview and he spills the basics of the story. I worked out there at a place called S4. I saw 9 flying saucers in an underground base. We spent a couple hours with him and we walked out of that meeting thinking, holy shit, what if this is true?
From what I know so far, it's safe to say that Lazar wouldn't have become what he is today without the media giving him so much attention. His message was spread far and wide, and that's why he got so many supporters who actually believed in his findings and theories. The way he describes alien spacecraft and the hidden facilities, as well as the whole idea itself, is pretty fascinating and amusing. But I am convinced they would have died out had it not been for one thing: the media. George Knapp is the one who should be credited for putting Lazar in the media limelight for the first time. The investigative journalist George Knapp gave Lazar a bigger voice to share his story. The interviews were broadcast, and the world got to know about Lazar's concepts. Not only that, Knapp is also said to be one of the first ones to believe in Lazar's findings, which then added more authenticity to his claims. With the platform available to him, he was able to spread his narrative. Not only did these interviews spread the word, but they also influenced how people imagined aliens and everything related to outer space. In fact, his stories have influenced much of the alien depiction we see in films and television shows. Many concepts were now understandable thanks to Lazar's vivid portrayal of the S4 site, the extraterrestrial vessels, and the intricate properties of element 115. Not just that, he actually made it easy for the professionals to augment the elements with visual tools such as mock-ups and computer-generated imagery. Further exploration of Lazar's story was undertaken in documentary films. I mean, pretty much every conspiracy enjoyer has watched Bob Lazar Area 51 and Flying Saucers, right? I bet he got calls from the Discovery Channel all the time. These extended formats provided so much more information. On top of that, They contrasted Lazar's assertions with views from experts, historical footage, and field examination. All these new media productions also broadened the spectrum of viewpoints in the conversation, ranging from strong skeptics to fervent believers. That is all without even mentioning the arrival of the internet. Thanks to that new tech, everything got faster, inviting views directly from people as well. But these views weren't always in his favor. Instead, many actually went against him. That was bound to happen, as it does with every view on the internet. If there are people who support your opinion, you can bet there is a group out there who doesn't. But in a way, that is good. This diversity of opinions, though sometimes in conflict, offered a more comprehensive and subtle comprehension of Lazar's saga.
And then I found his name in the phone book from the era when he was there. He's in the lab phone book.
YouTube channels and podcasts dedicated to UFO research had an undeniable role when it came to offering new information regarding his claims. But all in all, it's safe to say that Lazar should be thankful to the media. Helped him out big time. The thought of aliens is quite the enigma, isn't it? It kind of blows your mind away. I mean, when we ponder the possibility of encountering extraterrestrial life, it's fascinating to think they could be vastly different from us. There's a big chance that our human limitations might make it challenging to even recognize them. This requires us to keep an incredibly open mind about what we're actually looking for. Being open-minded isn't just a philosophical stance. You ask why? Well, my friend, it's a practical necessity. Just imagine if we could detect signals, or as tech-savvy, call it techno-signatures, from a distant planet orbiting another star. Suppose these signals indicate the presence of alien life. The first thing that triggers my curiosity is their mode of transportation. Do they have the Star Trek spaceship or the Star Wars one? Or could it be from the Guardians of the Galaxy? What kind of advanced propulsion systems might they use? Understanding that could revolutionize how we travel, perhaps even enabling us to zip across the cosmos faster than ever before. These are exactly the things Bob answers. If he knows all this stuff, he probably may guide us on how to communicate with the aliens as well. I mean, think about it. If we could share knowledge with an alien civilization, it's like swapping notes on a cosmic scale. I'm a fan of anything that moves fast, be it motorcycles or rockets, and I'm sure their technology would be mind-blowing. It's like saying, "Hey, I'll show you my cool tech, show me yours." But on an on an intergalactic level, damn, that sounds thrilling, doesn't it? As our exploration of Bob Lazar's story concludes, it's clear that his claims have left an indelible mark on the world of ufology and beyond. Regardless of where you stand on Lazar's claims, one thing is undeniable. His story has fueled a greater public interest in space exploration, science, and the potential of advanced technologies. It has encouraged us to question, research, and keep an open mind about every possibility that exists in the vast, unexplored universe. It underscores the human tendency to reach for the stars in search of answers and our innate curiosity about our place in the cosmos. We hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and share what you think about this story. Also, do subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Stay curious.